On YouTube, it's your boy Logistical Styles coming at you with another video, and today we are doing a gig recap. And I just did a wedding over the weekend, Saturday, did another wedding, and it was a really good wedding. It was very successful. I tried a lot of different stuff. It was a lot going on, but I managed to pull it off, and I just decided, well, this would be a good time to do a gig log, put some content out there. So this wedding was held in Greensboro, Georgia. It's about an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes away from where I live on the southern end of Atlanta. But it wasn't too bad of a drive, just going 20. No, it wasn't south. Did I say south? No, it's east. It's east of at I live on the south end, but it's 20 miles east of Atlanta. And it was a really good easy drive. I played, music that I was gonna be playing during the for the reception, so I'm just kind of getting myself into the mood for it. Plenty of time to get prep, do some mental prep. So it was a really good, easy drive, and the day was really nice. I love these October weddings because the weather is nice. It's not too hot. It's not unbearable. I don't sweat nearly as much as I do during a summer wedding, and it's people seem to be in a better mood. I think they're more um, likely to stick around and have a good time versus getting drug out to a hot, wedding ceremony site and then sitting around and waiting to be fed. The crowds they don't really seem to be the same as they are during the summertime as they are in the fall weddings, and I love fall weddings. So anyway, um, like I said, it was a really good wedding. I did the ceremony. This First of all, the location. The location was a mansion that was in a small town in Georgia. So it wasn't in the city. It wasn't at a hotel. It was a mansion, and it was a big old historical house that was converted into a wedding venue. They added a dining hall for dinner and all the reception activities that take place in. The main house is used for the bride and the bridal party. Maybe that whole weekend they eat there, they live there, or whatever. But the reception takes place in a separate facility on the property. This place had a cathedral type setting, outdoor cathedral setting set up in their backyard, in the backyard of the mansion. So it was a really nice look of it. In fact, here's a little picture of what the house looked like. So this is like the courtyard of the mansion. This is the mansion or whatever. It's a really old historical house, pretty big. But this is where they came out and did their grand entrance and first dance. So they came from far away. Well, this is where they had me set up. I had to set up a speaker outside because they did a entrance that brought them out into this courtyard. This is the building where the reception took place, and then this is where they were announced to. They went up this path and up to the house. Hopefully, well, there's a water fountain. That's where they were going to be dancing, but to the right of it is the house. This is what you saw to the right of it. So I'll get into that a little bit later. But they also had a ceremony site. Let me see if I can find that. Here's a video of it. So the ceremony site was. This is what it looked like when you walked up to the house. To the left is where the ceremony was. If you walked a little further around that curve to the right, that's where you would go for the cocktail hour. And then the house is a little further up on the left. This is the pathway into where the ceremony was taking place. And through, I hope I go all the way through. Let's see, all the way through. Well, no, they were taking pictures, so I had to kind of not go in there and mess them up. Let's see if I can find that. Here we go. So this is what it looked like. They had this thing. It was covered. There was a podium, and I was set off to the right. Over here, they had a table with a little umbrella there for me. I used the Mackie Thump Go and the Mackie Mobile Mix, and uh, what I ended up using for microphones, I had my Phoenix Pro. These are the PDP wireless mics. I've done some reviews on these before, but I have one that's for my handheld because we had a person that was going to be reading a verse during the ceremony, and this was velcroed to the top of the the Mackie Thump Go. You can kind of see the antenna sticking up a little bit, and that gave me direct line of sight to the handheld microphone that was up on stage. And then for the body mics, the lapel mics, I use these Phoenix Pro lapel mics, and these are really nice. They're USB charged, so they have a built-in battery. They use the same type of receiver as the one I just showed you. With the PDP handhelds, I think some receivers are made to pair up with one device, and others are made to pair up with two devices. This one is meant to pair up with two devices, and that's why I have both my body pack, my lapel mics, paired up with that receiver. Typically, I put one on the Efficient and I put one on the Groom. Typically, the mics are turned on, but the volume is controlled by me at the board, and I am able to raise the volume as needed. But usually, the Efficient for the wedding comes down while the music's playing, and the Groom comes down. And once they get down to the altar, that's when I turn their mics up. And then the bride usually is not mic'd up, although I have done recently a wedding where the bride was mic'd up. But the bride comes down, and the mic, between the mic for the Efficient and the mic for the Groom, it's enough to pick up the bride when she says her few lines. So anyway, it was I did test it, and it worked out really well. Now, the thing about these mics is because they're cheap, they're not very expensive, and the range can be kind of spotty. So when I'm in my backyard, I'm able to get 125 feet with no problem. And then you add people, then you start having dropouts and some interference. So instead of me going out and spending more money on more microphones, what I ended up doing was buying this cable right here. This is a 100-foot cable, and on one end it's a female TRS connector, and on the other end it is a male TRS connector. This end goes into my mixer, my Mackie Mobile Mix, and I have 100 feet to be able to discreetly bring this female end around, so wherever I need, that's going to be closer to where the Efficient and the Groom is going to be. And I just plug it in and tape it to the back of a wall or somewhere inconspicuous where it can't be seen. But it works really, really well, because now instead of me trying to transmit from 100 feet, I'm transmitting 10, 15 feet, and then the rest of it is hardwired all the way back to the mixer. And that worked out really, really well. I wish I had thought about this like years ago. I think the lavalier mics, they only came out with this Phoenix Pro version this year, I believe. But even you can do the same thing with the Rode Wireless Go's. I could have did that and just used a different adapter. But being able to get your receiver closer to your transmitter is very, very clutch for having good mics for your ceremony. I wish I would have done this years ago when I first started using the Rode Go's, but now I know. And the thing about it is, this cable is so it's small, it's thin, it's not highly visible, so you don't have a lot of distractions in it. Because it's so long, you can really route it in a way that it's not going to be a tripping hazard, it's not going to cause any issues for anybody. So that's something, that's a little tip from me to you. Try to think about that. I know I've mentioned it in a previous video, but I just wanted to show you a little bit better. In fact, let me see if I can pull up a video that can kind of show it a little better. Maybe I can narrate it a little bit just so you can see. I don't want to dwell too much on it, but here we go. All right, so let's go over to the iPad. And this is me explaining everything, so you can see kind of what the area looked like that I was trying to cover. There's about 100 people that could fit there, and yes, the Mackie Thump Go covered that area well. There was no problem. The audio was clear. When the music was clear, the microphones were clear. So over here, let's see if we can come around and look at this Mackie mobile mix. On channel one, I had the receiver um, for the reader, the person that was going to be reading during the ceremony. On channel two is the long 100-foot cable that I ran down to the altar. And what's really cool about this is, or what's interesting, I should say, is when I got this idea, I bought the 100-foot cable. And I thought, damn, that's too long. It's too long. I probably should get like a 25-footer. So I bought a 25-footer and I tried to use it for the reader, but 25 feet is not far enough. So I just ended up sticking the receiver on top of the Mackie Thumb Go because we were about really 50 feet away from the altar. But that was perfect. I had no issues with dropouts because the receiver, the receiver was up high. But now you can see me running how I ran the wire. The green wire is the power cable that they provided for me that I didn't really need. And then the black wire, I just ran it all the way over here to the side, right here. And it's not visible, but it is now about 10, 15 feet away from where the ceremony is going to take place. And so you're definitely getting a nice, good transmission between that. And then everything else is hardwired from here all the way back up to my mixer board. So I thought that was, a good idea on my part, and I'm kind of proud of that. So it worked out really well. Then we moved on to the cocktail hour, and let me pull it up here. Cocktail hour, very simple setup for cocktail hour. It was just a Mackie Thumb Go sitting on a tripod. I had a phone that was playing music into one of the inputs, just playing a pre-made jazz mix. That's what they wanted, big band jazz from the 60s. So very easy, and that gave me enough time to get ready and prepped for this interesting grand entrance for the ceremony, for the reception. And very small area, so nothing too major. But that was real easy. The only hard part was those are my only two portable speakers. So once ceremony was done, I already had the cocktail hour speaker in place. But while cocktail hour was going, I had to break down ceremony and move it around to the side for the this part right here. I had to move speakers over here and get this set up and have a microphone because they were going to come out of that door. I had to announce them as everybody was gathered around and, went up to the water fountain to have their first dance. In addition to that, I was also doing photo booth, but photo booth took place in the same area where my DJ equipment was set up. So let's take a look at that real quick. And that was a little awkward as well. I didn't run the photo booth. I just provided it, and the company I subcontracted for, they hired somebody to come out and actually be the photo booth attendant. So I was in the same kind of area. I was over here. This is my DJ setup. I had the Rev 5. I love using the Rev 5. It's a great investment for me this year. I'm glad I did buy that. I wish I bought it a year ago, or was able to get a year ago when I first tried to get it, but it was sold out. But I'm glad I did finally get it. But there's my photo booth right there, my DIY photo booth. So let's see if I can pull up some other pictures. Let's see. Let's focus on the photo booth. Well, let's see. I took a lot of pictures when I was trying to get this set up. I always try to document stuff. So I have my backdrop, really simple, regular photography backdrop that you can get just about anywhere. And red carpet, got that off of Amazon. Let's see. That's the photo booth with the wheels that I use for the for my DIY booth. The wheels made a big difference, very helpful to have. 20-inch ring pad, ring light with the iPad in it, iPad Pro, 12-inch iPad Pro. So it does make a difference. I wasn't really big on using the Pro. I was happy with the iPad Air, but the Pro did make a difference. One interesting thing about this venue, they had lighting already. I didn't have to pull out any of my lightings. They had these, American DJ lights up there, and they had some other LED lights going around. Not the type of light show that I probably would have used if I had to choose, but it made it easier that I didn't have to pull out a bunch of stuff. Trying to see. Here's I guess, a video from the event, and this is what the dance floor was like. I'm not playing any music because I don't like the copyright strikes, but you can see that they got out there, they danced to. It was a lot of country. It was mostly country, but also disco, 80s rock, and even a little bit of polka. The song Pennsylvania Polka by Jack Black. That was a really, really big hit. The bride, she stayed out there and danced all night, pretty much. She raved about us, gave us a great 5-star review the next day, the next morning on a Sunday. We woke up and we had reviews. Even the coordinator wanted to give us a review on the website. So it was a really good event. Everybody had a good time. As far as I know, I didn't talk too much about my DJ equipment, other than the fact that I had the Rev 5 set up, but it was really very simple. Photo booth. It's great to have an attendant run that. I've done the photo booth where I was DJing and I kind of had it on the auto attendant, and that works, but it's not my favorite because every once in a while there would be a problem and people would have to have you come over and help. But when you have an attendant and that knows how to handle it, that's great. We were going to do printing. We didn't do printing because the Wi-Fi was almost non-existent and you need Wi-Fi to print. So we were focusing on having people do airdrop and text message to get their pictures. And even then, they weren't getting them actually that night. It wasn't until the next morning when I got home and turned on my iPad, it started queuing up and sending out all the pictures that were taken while we were out of service area, because the Wi-Fi was bad and the cellular signal was bad as well. Most of the time, I had no bars on my cell phone. So that's one thing I do like about using Luma Booth, is the fact that you do have the ability to take those pictures and get those sessions in, and then when you get to Wi-Fi, you're able to connect to it, and the app will start sending out all the pictures that people took. So it was really cool, and I think that might have sparked the bride's interest to remember to give us the review, because the next morning is when I turned on my iPad when I woke up at home, and it started sending those pictures out, and then shortly after that the 5-star review popped up. So it's interesting that it happened that way, but it's something that you always have to have a backup. When Wi-Fi is not always going to be around, so you need to have some backups. And my iPad that I used for the photo booth was actually cellular. It has a Verizon signal. I have a Verizon cell phone, and then I have a T-Mobile cell phone. So none of those phones were getting service. So at that point, it's not really our fault. It's just kind of the venue's fault. They should have better Wi-Fi. But overall, I was very happy with this wedding. I'm still getting some positive reviews from it. So um, I got 5 more weddings left for the season, and I'll be glad when those are done, because I'm ready to get back into just regular parties where I bring just one setup and maybe some lights. But cocktail hour and ceremony and reception, all that stuff, it gets a bit tiresome after a while. But anyway, that was my gig review. That was my weekend. I've got another gig coming up this weekend. It's in Tennessee, so I'll be up there doing a wedding, and hopefully it will be just as successful as this one. And hey, I appreciate you all for checking out the videos. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you around at the next one. All right, peace.